Oh gosh, I likened it to Noah one time when we got nominated for the Gothams. He said, "What does it feel like for you, Catherine?" And I said, "It's like if you made coffee for somebody every day for like 20 or 30 years and you liked making coffee and you were paid well for making coffee and sometimes you put heart designs and different designs, you were just this expert coffee maker. And then one day, 20 or 30 years later, someone said, we really love the way you make coffee and we really appreciate it. Come over here. All this is now open to you." And it was just like, it was something that I loved doing, that I felt I was good at doing, that I enjoyed doing. I love telling stories about the human condition, and I really love acting. And so to suddenly get recognized and sort of applauded for it is just a delightful surprise, and it just really feels so nice. It feels like love, and it feels just wonderful. Well, I'm a huge John Wells fan, and so that was kind of a bucket list thing. And then I'm just a huge fan of Noah's because of his just sheer craft, his technical ability. He's just a wonderful actor, very truthful actor, and so those two things were there. But honestly, when they were showing us the first cuts, John made sure we saw some of the first cuts of the shows, and if anything was amiss, I thought, oh well, everyone's going to tune out now. How can we show that? It was like I thought it was way more fragile than it was, and the truth is that it just really had its own life. So it didn't. I thought if we got anything wrong, that everyone would tune out, and we wouldn't get to make more. Well, I think that there's a lot of calm under pressure, so it's not going crazy and yelling and screaming. I think that they're all really doing their best. I think there's just an amazing amount of probably, I guess there's a certain amount of fortitude for dealing with other people's trauma. It is trauma all day long. So there's a kind of, I call it emotional efficiency that they have to have in order to care for people the best. They have to be able to detach a little bit. But I think they really hold a lot. I found that as I was doing it, if I had to consider what each person was going through, so I'm kind of pretending, right, with my own psyche, I'm wrapping around like this imaginary situation. And that actually made me kind of softer as a person. I felt that I went out into the world and was more aware that I didn't really know what people were going through. So I think it's a big toll. I think a lot of us were tired. I found myself kind of wanting to just retreat and be alone, not go out as much. Not in a bad way, but just like I need a lot more personal space, even just doing the pretend version, right? So I can imagine that they hold a lot. I don't know if you know, but I had cancer. I went through cancer about a year before I got this job, and I spent some time in the emergency department. So in a way, the whole experience has kind of been spiritual. Like I wasn't quite sure that I was going to work anymore, and then I had cancer, and I was like, well, what is this about? Like, can I have my old life back, please? And then to get the job with John Wells, it was just a bucket list person to work for, and then have all of these experiences of being a patient. And one of my worst days was really saved by an emergency department nurse in Atlanta in the ER. And I really just felt like I can't take this anymore. And the things that she said to me just really saved me. And she didn't need to do that. It was just emotional generosity on her part. And I brought all of that into Dana. So it was really cool to get to do this role, considering what I had just gone through. I think that that's already happening. I mean, that's the kind of feedback that I'm getting. And also, I get a lot of feedback from people in the medical profession that feel seen, or they really feel seen. I think they're sort of triggered by it, and it's helped them to process some of their own experiences. I think feeling seen is really healing for all of us, right? And I think that that is definitely happening.